Hi, I'm with Robert Veach, who has been on Break a Leg before a couple of years ago when he was doing his show Halloween Happening in front of his home over on Jefferson Avenue. But now the Jefferson Avenue graveyard, or is that what do you call it, Robert?
It's Jefferson Street graveyard.
Okay. Is there really a graveyard? Was there ever a graveyard on Jefferson Street?
From what I understand, there might have been one in about the 1830s, but I'm not even sure if that's true. I think we call the Jefferson graveyard primarily because we lived on Jefferson and West Street, and we wanted something that would connect the show to where I lived on Jefferson Street. And being that the show was on Jefferson Street for 2 years, we wanted to keep the name that. So that way to be some tie to where it started, the origin of it. We had a really good turnout of people. I think people really like the concept of computer-controlled characters. Just like the Chuck E. Cheese's, people are really into seeing things move in animated shows. We had a really good turnout, and it got to be really big, and we had to start to have the police start direct traffic, and that's why I decided maybe to move the show somewhere commercially. For 2 years it was at Siegel's Cottonwood Farms in the Joliet area, and we had it in a big corn silo there. We converted it to a theater. And a lot of people over the last 2 years have been asking me to bring the show back because I really enjoyed the show. So I decided this year to bring it back to Naperville and see how things go. And this time it's going to be indoors. And we chose the Brunswick Zone in Naperville to bring it for the first time, bringing it back in Naperville.
Your company, Chicago Animatronics, what is this company?
The company started when we started doing the show in front of my house. We do custom characters that are computer controlled, and our characters have appeared on news channels, Channel 9, Channel 2, and we've also been at trade shows a couple times with our characters. We had a life-size Bill Clinton character that was at a trade show, and I've also had a Santa Claus character that did the news several times. So we kind of do custom characters for trade shows, and we're trying to get into the movie production end of it.
You actually were at one of the cinemas when a movie came out. What movie was that?
Well, that was the Haunting by DreamWorks SKG, and they had a big contest nationally to see who would have the best lobby display for the opening of that movie. And DreamWorks put this all together and then asked us to do that. And we went there and we had kind of a graveyard scene like this, not quite as elaborate as this, and it was a big contest nationally, and we actually won second place across the whole country, which I was kind of glad to happen.
Who is we?
Me, my brother Stephen Veach, and my nephew Christopher Brendel, who does the website, and my brother works on the audio portion, and I do all the characters and electronics. So it's 3 people involved in the company.
What happened when you won this contest nationwide? What was the prize?
It was really recognition by Steven Spielberg and his company. He's one of the partners in the company. We also won some money. We won $1,000. But it was really just recognition that what we did was liked by the company and people that viewed these different tapes from all the different people nationally that entered this contest.
Bill Clinton?
Yeah, actually he's a popular guy, and I was thinking about retiring him and turning him into maybe Bush, but I haven't done that yet. He's still very popular, so I think I might keep him as Clinton.
What does he do? What does the Clinton character do?
He actually is standing behind a podium. And it's very elaborate. It's a mock-up of the podium that they use in the White House. And he's the most complex character I have. He's fully articulated, he moves, his eyelashes move, his hands move, he talks, his torso moves. And he's really effective as a communicator, as he is in real life.
Epcot Center, they have the American presidents or the American unit. How does this differ?
It really is similar technology. The difference is that this is my own technology that I use to control it, and they're using more of a commercial system to control theirs. And theirs are much more robust because they're running kind of long hours during the day. Mine is designed for shorter runs like movie productions or for trade shows. I typically have to do maintenance on them after about 300 hours.
What are some of the examples of the things they would do at a trade show?
Trade shows are primarily to get people to come in and see a product line from a particular company. And by having something that's unique, people flock to that area, and then just by default they happen to see the products that you're pushing. And the Clinton character just got a tremendous amount of press coverage, and the company was really happy with how many people came to their booth because of it.
Okay. What are some of the other things you can do? You talked about, okay, a Santa Claus character, we can figure out where that would go. What are some of the other places that you would use this? You said the movies.
Yeah, in the movies typically are going more digital, but there are cases where they need to have a dummy, in essence, that is controllable, where it's too dangerous to use an actor or a stunt person. And there's some complex shots that involve, for instance, the car flying through the air where you see the person moving. It's expensive to do it digitally. In some cases, it's less expensive to do it with animatronics. And that's the area I'm trying to get into. And it's a very, very tight field. There's not many people in it, but I'm trying.
And this is not exactly LA.
No, it's not. No, it's not. There's a tremendous amount of movies that are shot in the Chicagoland area. I mean, it's unbelievable. A good portion, about 60% of movies of a certain category, filmed in Chicago. But production companies bring their own crews from California, but they do a lot of leasing of equipment out here. And there are companies that are interested in this product and this control technology. You just have to kind of get in line with these companies in the future.
And you have had some exposure. CLTV, have an article we saw out, The Sun, and Trip too, right?
Yeah, I was in the Chicago Tribune, I was in the Sun-Times, I was in the CLTV News twice, and I was on WGN several times every year. Whenever we do the Halloween show, we get on WGN News. And I'll try again this year to do that also, because they really like the show, and I know the producers there too.
Well, how much work is involved in this, Robert?
A lot of work. Just transporting a show like this is a big effort. There's a lot of characters that have to be moved, as you can see by the set here. A lot of these props are lighter than what you'd expect, but a lot of them are kind of heavy, like compressors and the electronics themselves. And the props I use most of them are handmade into real props, so real wood and real metal. So it ends up being a little heavier, but they look more realistic.
How much time does it take, for example, to do, the character right in the background that we're looking at?
If you're looking at Vampire, I'm not sure. If you're looking at...
Vampira, yeah, I think I remember her, but...
Scully?
Scully, yeah.
Scully, yeah. He's the main narrator of the show. And he's the most complex character in terms of his body movements, because he has natural movements on his head and his arms and so forth, and his eyes move. Most of these characters are not hard to set up and hook up. It's just a matter of doing everything, methodically and connecting everything up right. Everything is custom. There's nothing really commercial in this other than the lights, which have been modified. Everything else is handmade. We have some new characters this year too. We have a Raven character, which is to my left, which is new this year, that actually flaps and squawks and moves its head. And we have a demonic spirit character this year, which is a tombstone that actually comes to life and shoots out laser beams and smoke and rocks back and forth violently, which I think people will really get a kick out of.
I remember visiting you in your basement, and your comment was even you're afraid to go in your basement sometimes.
Yeah, because when it's off season, you're sitting there working on something else and you forget that these characters are there, and you might be doing a load of laundry and then you turn a corner, all of a sudden you see one of these characters. And I'm kind of used to them now, but at one time I had a service person come when they were checking for all those mercury, and I had somebody come from the gas company, and she walks down the stairs and I warned her. I don't think she understood what I was saying, and then she turned the corner and she saw that character there and she jumped about 2 feet.
And I remember your basement ceiling isn't all that high up.
No, it's not. It's true. She didn't hit her head though. But
Well, how long did it take you to do Scully, for example?
Scully was my first character, and he started off as just a head and kind of a torso in kind of a bloodbath fountain in front of my house. I then took his head and I put it into a body. It typically takes about 2 or 3 months, kind of not full-time, part-time working to develop a character. I have a system now where I can build characters much faster now, where I pre-build the bodies and the mechanics and everything. a lot of time is involved in programming the characters. Once you have a basic character done, you have to program the movement of that character, and that takes a lot of time.
And everything is computer programmed, right?
Yes, we do it all in computers. We use an audio program, and we use musical notes to control some of the characters and a sequence of events. And we do all our audio digitally. My brother, fortunately, I have a brother that has a studio in Chicago, and we can do all the music there and bring it to Naperville and then put the control information to control the characters.
How long have you been doing this? This is your 5th year with the show?
5th year, yeah, 5th year in business. So first 2 years it was in front of my house, and next 2 years it was at Cottonwood Farms, and now it's going to be at Brunswick Zone in Naperville.
How is this different being here versus outside in a silo in front of your yard? How is it different by being here?
Well, the main difference is when I was outside, I had to fight the elements, the weather. And that was really hard to do. I always had to tarp everything, and I had to waterproof all the connections. And a couple times I would get circuits to trip because of the moisture in the ground. When I went to the Cottonwood Farms, it was nice because I was kind of shielded from the environment being in this big silo. But it still wasn't a perfect environment because it got very cold, and I had to do a little more maintenance. So now I'm indoors, so hopefully the maintenance will be lower down. And the props are a little different because I don't have as much expansive space, so I have to be a little more clever with my hiding of things indoors.
I'd like to ask you some questions about some of the interesting experiences you've had at your home and at Cottonwood Farms. What are some of the fun things or strange things or weird things that happen, Robert?
Well, when we first talked about this show being in front of our house, we kind of had this notion that our house was haunted, and we would use that as a tool to get people more interested in the show. And we then published that on our brochures. And then about 2 months after the show was over, we kind of had some strange things happen in the house. So it was almost like I was taunting the spirits to come in, but everything's okay now. And the strangest thing probably that happened at Cottonwood Farms is that one time we had somebody show up who was kind of offended by the show. We had to explain to them why we're doing it. He didn't understand the concept of Halloween, but most people really like the show and love the characters and like the way that they make fun of each other during the show. And
why would someone come to the show in the first place since it's advertised what it is? I mean, I don't understand.
I don't understand that either. I think he was just upset that they were more realistic looking than he expected. That could be.
Well, that's an interesting comment. It's kind of like a compliment while it was actually a complaint.
Yeah, we gave him his money back, so.
Too realistic. I don't know. I've never seen dead bodies before like this.
Especially talking and singing, making fun of each other.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. We had Ghost Stories in the Park recently, and they say they have a PG, a G, and a PG-13.
Right.
So what do you call this show, maybe?
Well, that's another interesting topic. When we first started, we were really geared towards family and children, and we kind of still are. We had a lot of teenagers show up in the evening show, and they really weren't as interested in the show, you know, because it was kind of a G-rated. So we kind of modified the show so that it's kind of in between. It entertains children as well as adults and teenagers. So it's kind of hard to kind of mix it all together without having different versions. And we felt we didn't want to have 3 different versions for this particular show. This character is, his name is Scully, and I call him that because he started off as just a skull. It has nothing really to do with the X-Files character. He was really the first character I developed, and he's the most complex character, as I said earlier, and he's got the most complex motion on the head and the arms and the eyes, and his leg moves and his arms move back and forth, and he's kind of the narrator of the show. He's kind of like the Beetlejuice character. He's the one that has the most intelligence, and he's the first one that was brought to the Jefferson graveyard. The next character we'll talk about is Vampira, and this year we kind of elevated her so that people could see her a little bit better. She is a character that really doesn't come to life until the very end of the show, when a demonic spirit shows up and shows how you really have to be effective in scaring people. That's when she comes to life. And she flaps her wings and moves her head and screams and attempts to come back to life.
Tell me she doesn't. Who else should we
The character to the left here is his name is Mort, and he is an ex-mortician. He's kind of on the ground in a kind of a funny position, and when people least expect it, he pops up and lunges and grabs at them, and has a nice conversation with Scully during the show, talking about why he's here and how he wants to get out of the graveyard. This next character, his name is Rip, for Rest in Peace. This character is the shy character of the show. He, once in a while during the show, lifts up and presents himself, and he's kind of a little shy and timid. And at the end, he kind of loosens up a little bit and laughs along with the other characters towards the end of the show. New this year is this character right here, which is the demonic spirit. And when the ghouls don't effectively scare the crowd because they're too nice, the demonic spirit shows up and possesses this tombstone, which people will see rocks back and forth and shoots out smoke and laser beams out of the eyes. And it's a pretty effective character. It's new this year. I think people really like it. And there's also a new character this year to my right, which is a raven character, which is in a tree. And it's a pretty complex character. It took me about 4.5 months to develop because it has head movement and jaw movement, as well as a flapping motion in the wings. So to give the illusion, kind of like a big raven perched on a tree that gets scared and starts to attempt to fly, and the audience will get the illusion that it might fly towards them and scare them. So this will be new this year, and we'll see how effective this character is. The show runs 10 minutes from start to stop, and which is a really good time because you can't hold the attention of youngsters too long. So 10 minutes seems to be a really good time that we've come up with, and that allows the flow of the crowds to come in and out at the right time too. I think it's interesting to show the audience these characters with the lights up and the set not being complete, so that they get a feel for how these characters are real elements made out of wood and metal and plastic, and they don't look quite real at this point. But when we bring the lights down and we put the computer control on and we get all the fog machines going, all of a sudden these fake characters become realistic and animated. And I think your viewers will appreciate that when they see the footage of that. I just want to mention that this year we're going to give 20% of our ticket sales to the American Red Cross for their efforts in the New York area this year.
Thank you. Well, have a happy Halloween. See you next year. Or maybe on the other side.